fundamentally was and still is to ensure that young people are able to contribute and shape the EU-Uganda Development Cooperation, to ensure that it is youth-centric and alive to the true needs of the young people in Uganda. And today, as we launch YSB Season 2, it is testament to the unwavering and unfaltering commitment of the European Union to mainstream the voices of young people in the EU-Uganda Development Cooperation, even as we head to 2027, because as you know already, the EU-Uganda Multi-Annual Indicative Program 2021-2027 has a focus attention, or as particular focus on the young people. And as you know already, the young people contribute 78% to the demography here in Uganda as we speak. And so to have a message to my colleagues that are the outgoing members, I would like to thank you in a very special way for setting the ball rolling, but for also creating an opportunity for many more young people that we can have trust with the EU to even commit to having Season 2. That means that in a certain way we contributed greatly to the aspirations and hopes that we had with the role of the YSB. And to be honest, on my end, it was such a humbling privilege to have led YSB 1 and to set a precedent that we know is not very common around here, where we get to see a new chairperson coming on board, my colleague, Dr. Jemba here. It's really humbling to see that we, the young people, can set that precedent of a peaceful transfer of power. And as I step down from that role, but remaining on the board to share my thoughts and advise, again, the lessons that we learned from YSB 1, I would like to encourage colleagues that are coming on board for YSB 2 that do not be afraid to share your aspirations, your lived experiences, to amplify the voices of the young people that you represent. Because as we know, YSB2 is more representative, both in the context of geography. I've seen colleagues across Uganda, but also when it comes to professional backgrounds doing different things. And yesterday when we were coming up with the working groups, I saw that we're all bringing fresh perspectives, the energy, the innovation, but also the solutions that we need to ensure that indeed we're able to inform the EU-Uganda Development Cooperation. On my end, I would like to thank you once again for the opportunity that I was given to serve, but also now to serve as the thematic lead for energy, environment, and climate, but to also wish my brother, Dr. Jemba, the very best of luck. And my hope is that this time round will be more impactful, that will be more deliberate and intentional, but also we shall be able indeed to ensure that we mainstream the voices, the aspirations and hopes of the young people that we have the privilege to represent. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, thank you so much for your kind attention.
Boy, is it hard to speak after Howard. I think I'll adopt the how do they call it? Existing protocol. Ambassador and the Right Honorable Minister Betty Among Akana, colleagues, Team Europe, and fellow young people, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Jemba Michael Senkole, and I'm proud to be the newly elected chairperson to the EU Sounding Board Season 2. And it's only fair that I start out by introducing my vice chair, the amazing Jovia Kusima. Yes. Thank you. So first of all, allow me to say congratulations, and allow me to say this sincerely and loud to the amazing group of 20 members that have been brought on to the EU Sounding Board Season 2. To begin with, we all know that this has been a rigorous process. Over 1,200 young people put in their applications to vie for these positions. And that is not just a number. These are young people who are dedicated to the work that they do. They are passionate about the work that they do. But the 20 were selected. And this is an affirmation. It is an affirmation that you've been seen, that you have been trusted, and you have been chosen. And I speak this especially to the YSB2. You've been chosen not only to represent, but to reshape the way youth engagement is in development cooperation. Having served on the inaugural board, I don't just stand here with excitement, but I stand here with perspective. having seen how the board has evolved from I would call it even an experiment to an example, to a voice that has caused tangible impact, and that has brought a force to the table. And while we started out, boy, I had all those questions of, will our voices matter? Will our thoughts matter anyway? Will we really just advise all cause the impact or influence the change that we're looking out for? And to the colleagues on the new board, I want to tell you that I want to share actually an encouragement, but also caution you. Your voice can count, but that's if you use it. And if you use it creatively, but as well as relentively, yeah, or relentlessly. It matters, but that's if you use it creatively and what? Relentlessly. The board is not just a ceremonial post. It is something that exists because someone out there in Brussels, but most importantly here in Uganda, realized that working with the young people is not just, they're not just recipients of change, but they're actually architects of change. We are part of the future, we are part of the creators of the future that we are looking out for. So, as we celebrate today, tomorrow we will begin, and we'll be stepping out in a world that we know to be complex, that we know to be unpredictable, and often very unfair. And the beauty with all this is that we step in there with perspective. We know the frustration in having degrees but with no jobs. We know the confusion and hardships in wanting to get involved in the digital spaces but with poor internet or no internet at all. We know and have lived experiences where access to education, to healthcare is dependent on where you stay, where you, your disability, all the privileges that you do have. And we've watched too many young people hesitate to express themselves because of fear, because of stigma, or even repression. In scenarios where human rights have become a privilege and not really a guarantee. So these issues that I speak of, we may not carry banners here, but these are experiences that we carry. These are experiences that each of the 20 members of this board carries. And we do not bring these experiences, all issues as complaints. No, we bring them with a touch of knowledge. These are experienced young individuals who are well passionate about the issues that they speak about, things that they've lived, and they're willing to stand up and speak out for these issues. Colleagues, the season one, and thanks to Howard, Belinda, and the executive that led the drive, they worked that we can be able to run. The whole board worked that we can be able to what? To run. We set up a groundwork of youth engagement in the EU programming, and now season 2 will scale up this legacy into action. We'll bring all these ideas that we've put on paper, all these ideas that we've dreamed of into action. And let's not be mistaken, this is not a reset. This is a relay that season 1 hands over the baton to the colleagues in season 2 to take on. It's not a reset. But see, I believe one of the key things that I want to work with, or we want to work with, especially with the EU and the fellow colleagues on YSB, is to co-create a space with each one of you to make sure it's inclusive, to make sure it's brave, to make sure that this space is relevant. A space where we are able to speak and speak when we're sure that it is a safe space. A space where we are supported to grow, but also challenged to lead. And see, it's Howard talked of the diverse nature of this board. And the beauty of it all is it brings together all the components of the people that you're looking out for. The policy nerds, you have the grassroots organizers, you have the artists, you have the advocates, the quiet thinkers, and the most amazing of all, the bold disruptors. We have the bold disruptors. I see smiles on that because people are quite reserved on that. But we do have the bold disruptors, the thinkers, the quiet thinkers, those people who are willing to step out and say something. And see, even if it means to say the right question in a different manner, that is what we are looking out for. See, as we do all this work, and most of the colleagues who know me, I will say this: let us not forget to do this with joy, to do this with a humor. Yeah, that while meetings come and go, a well-organized and well-timed proverb can change the tone of a room. So while we do all this, let us remember to keep a smile on our face and remember to be young and to bring these brilliant ideas. And to the EU, I want to thank you for believing that youth participation is not an obligation. It is a strategic choice. It is one that strengthens your cooperation, that deepens your reach, and builds trust with the next generation. And colleagues, to the fellow young people that are here, the members of the YSB, welcome to the work. Welcome to the opportunity where we make our voices heard. Welcome to the opportunity where we do not just speak in the rooms, but we speak in the communities, to every project that affects our life, to every policy that influences the lives of the young people out there. And let's make this season matter. Let's make it matter for ourselves. Let's make it matter for Uganda. And let us make it matter for the future that we are trying to create. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Michael Jemba, and also thanks to Howard Mwesigwa, outgoing board chair for the Youth Sounding Board. Thank you very much. Another round of applause to our past speakers. Please join me in welcoming our host, Ambassador Jan Shadek, to address us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies. And let me start, of course, by recognizing the presence here of our Honorable Minister for Gender, Labor and Social Development, my friend Betty Amongi Ongom, who has taken time in her busy schedule to join us here. I think it's great to see you here. I think it's great that you also show the importance that our youth, if I may say so, play here in Uganda. We are so grateful for that, really, for seeing you here again in our garden, in our celebrations. Also, Honorable Okot Boniface, who is the youth member of parliament from northern Uganda. Pleasure having you here, sir. The guild presidents here present, and the speaker of the East African Youth Parliament. I mean, it's you're under the tent now, so I can't really see you, but I know you're here. Yes, very good, very good. Of course, the members of our youth sounding boards, number 1 and number 2, dressed up very colorfully for this event. I thank you for that. It's great. It also symbolizes and recognizes the geographic spread that we think is so important, to have the whole country represented in our youth sounding boards. I say, ladies and gentlemen, I noticed, I think, that there was a very young guest coming in here, wasn't there? Yes? Is it the first member of our baby sounding board, perhaps? Or at least it's a great result of our youth sounding board, I think. Yes. I want to welcome you again, all of you, to the and the minister's team, I should also note here, and of course, not the least here, my Team Europe friends from the various embassies here, heads of mission, heads of cooperation. I see the deputy German ambassador here, and the head of the Austrian office here. I'm laughing because I made that mistake one more time. Katja is also laughing, yes. Well, so I welcome you all to the EU Residence Garden. I'm really delighted to address all of you here as we are celebrating two things: the outgoing Youth Sounding Board Season 1 and the incoming and the launch of the European Union Youth Sounding Board Season 2. It's a sort of a grand finale and a premiere all in once, so to say. I think Howard and Jemba Michael have said everything so well already, so I don't know what an old man like me can bring more to you, but let me just note that youth empowerment is an important priority for the EU, and the EU believes that young people must be part of the conversation today and involved in shaping and implementing our external action. And that was also the aim with our first youth sounding board here in Uganda, as well as in other countries, because they exist as well in all our other partner countries. And it was to create a real change in how the EU engages with young people at global, national, and local levels. And when I speak about our first Youth Sounding Board, or YSB, as we say internally, it's always with a lot of pride, a lot of joy, and a lot of warmth. Nostalgia, I think Howard put it. The same for me. It has been great working with all of you and see your engagement both as individuals and as a group. And on a personal level, I felt energized when I've been in our meetings and our discussions. And whenever I read an article from your pen, which is quite often in the newspapers and on social media, I would think, I know that person. It's our Youth Sounding Board. It's the future of Uganda. I know them. That has always brought a good feeling to me when I open the newspapers often in the morning. And I will be really happy and proud to hand, together with the Minister, the certificates for the first Youth Sounding Board members later today. There were several achievements noted from the first Youth Sounding Board. The YSB led the EU development interventions being more aligned with youth needs, and it strengthened links between grassroots youth, the EU, and other stakeholders, creating a platform for dialogue, co-development, co-creation, and consultation. And additionally, the Youth Sounding Board members could take inspiration, I think, from the EU's policies and work and include this in their own online and live advocacy. But you did not stop there. The YSB 1 members also participated in regional and international activities like the East African Youth Parliament with Belinda as the speaker. You went to COP28 and the Global Gateway Forum in Brussels. You collaborated with your peers, the other Youth Sounding Boards in Kenya and Tanzania, which I think aided regional advocacy of youth issues. And one member of you, we can perhaps applaud here, also won a UK Chevening Scholarship to study for her master's degree. And another member, I think, was selected for the US Department's Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders. So congratulations to both of you. And I already mentioned Belinda's position in the East African Parliament, and I think it's also noteworthy to praise Howard here for taking the first presidency of the Youth Sounding Board. But I think all of you began your own initiatives, which you are now managing, and I hope and believe that the YSB 1 experience contributed to your own personal development and capacity enhancement. So all in all, I and the delegation, we thank you all for participating in the first YSB. Thank you. So, honorable ladies and gentlemen, in this context, the European Union delegation to Uganda has established now the Youth Sounding Board Season 2 to continue to strengthen engagement and dialogue with Ugandan youth and to advise on the relevance and effectiveness of its actions and development cooperation with Uganda. Like in the inaugural board, the new board is composed of 20 young people who are between 20 and 30 years and who come from all across the country. And this time, I think we have even more members originating from or actually living and working out of the greater Kampala region, from as far as Adjumani, Arua, Gulu, Hoima, Jinja, Kabale, Karamoja, Nebbi, and Rukungiri. Hope that's correct. Yes. And now we also know the dress code in all of these regions. That's also great. They bring, or you bring, a diversified expertise and engagement covering the key issues of governance, gender, education, environment, climate change, private sector, skilling and jobs, infrastructure, and health. And I just also want to congratulate and thank Dr. Jemba Michael for stepping in as president in this new board. He has great experience from the first board and should be able to how do you say, hit the ground running. But let me allow myself and all of us from the delegation and the Team Europe to congratulate now all of you, the 20 young and active Ugandans, on your selection, following, as we heard, a very competitive process. Congratulations, YSB Season 2. And I would also like to recognize and appreciate the work of Faraja Africa Foundation, a local youth-based organization with which we have collaborated to set up both the inaugural Youth Sounding Board and Season 2, and provide support and guidance to these boards. So we'll be looking forward to working with you also for Season 2, Emmanuel and your team. There he is, Emmanuel from Faraja. Should have been mentioned also initially, but now he is. Just before I end, a few words about the EU's youth support. We have a long history of working and supporting young people in Uganda. Again, with Faraja Africa Foundation and also the German cooperation, we have supported the national youth parliaments over the past years. And this activity brings together elected youth representatives right from the village level up to the national level to discuss matters of importance to youth across Uganda. We also support youth empowerment through grants to civil society organizations. And since 2022, 15 such grant contracts worth 8.5 million euros were signed, targeting youth actions in the eastern and northern regions to promote youth's economic empowerment and participation in policy and development processes, and to address the issue of teenage pregnancies. Youth empowerment is also a central component of our civil society support program, co-funded by the EU and Germany. And just a few words also about exciting opportunities. I want to tell you about Erasmus Plus, which is the EU's flagship program for education. In 2024, we had 11 Ugandan students that received full scholarships for a life-changing Erasmus Mundus master's degree in Europe. Ah, that's a welcome addition, actually. I was thinking how I could put the minister here in the sunshine. So this, you will have to stay here for the minister as well. It's becoming a bit hot out here. We have the Erasmus Plus program, and we sent 11 Ugandans to Europe last year. But we are also deeply committed to education and skills development in Uganda. We launched recently a 140 million euro program to support adolescent girls' education, reduce gender-based violence, and promote sexual and reproductive health in northern Uganda, which is supported by Team Europe. In 2022, we also committed 50 million euros with Belgium to advance skilling and job creation, focusing on green sectors such as sustainable agriculture and renewable energy. So this was a little bit about our youth support and support to education, something that we will continue with. As I conclude now my remarks, honorable and ladies and gentlemen, let me say that increasingly the voices of youth should be recognized, because the decisions that we make today will determine our world tomorrow. That is quite obvious, I think. Being young is being full of dreams and ideas. Well, I think also we, the older ones, can be full of dreams and ideas, but particularly young people are full of dreams and ideas, and believing that tomorrow can be better than today. So through our dialogue and interactions, I hope that you will make the EU's action more participatory, relevant and effective for young people in Uganda. And yes, also a bit more fun, I think. I want to challenge you on that. Make our activities a bit more fun. I also hope that this experience will enrich you, give you an opportunity to make new connections and contribute to Uganda's development path. So all in all, I wish our new YSB Season 2 a fruitful term of service. I thank you now for your attention. And I thank you for, and you have to remain here now. Because now I think if Emmanuel excuses me, I can do it myself. I can call our Honorable Minister, Honorable Betty Amongi Ongom, to join me here at the podium under the umbrella. It's a pleasure again having you here, Minister. I saw you have written down some points, and I know you can mesmerize an audience. So it's now your turn. Take the microphone. Most welcome, Honorable. If you allow me, I will join the shadow in the.
Thank you, Excellency, and all of you in your various capacities. You would note that the first speaker addressed me as Betty Amongi Akena, and he addressed me as Betty Amongi Ongom. So don't get confused. For the ladies out there, just to let you know that when I got educated, my father educated me, and my father's name is Ongom, and my father's name remains in my academic documents. That is why in official document you will find Betty Amongi Ongom. And of course, when I got married, people have added Akena. And if you know men, they will want you to add their names. So to please the community, you can call me Betty Amongi Akena. So let me start by congratulating the first and the second cohort of the Youth Sounding Board for the resilience and the achievement that today we are witnessing. Congratulations. If you know the number of youth that are in Uganda, and today you are seated here, how many of you? You don't know the number. 40. So 40 out of, because now 35 years and below, you are 80% of the total population of Uganda. So you can imagine how many of them are seated somewhere and you are here. So you must know that you are a special breed of the youth. Whatever you are doing to sit here, you are special. So congratulations. And you should be proud of yourself. Very proud of yourself. 2 is to state that such initiative by an ambassador of European Union, I'm sure for many years you could have not dreamt of reaching the residence of a head of mission. So this takes a visionary initiative of the leader of the EU at this point in time that has given you this opportunity. So let us thank our EU head of delegation, because each one comes with a leadership style and innovation. And for him, the time I have worked with him as a minister for gender, labor and social development, I have known him as a very active person who sometimes will not even think of himself as an ambassador, but as somebody who has a cause, who has something to deliver to the people. And there is a time I got very amazed. We were in a film festival and we were supposed to review one of the program under European Union, and we were already in to review the film, and I think he felt that he was late, although he didn't know Ugandans how we behave, that we come late. So for him, the jam was there, and he decided, I'm going to be late. He jumped on a border to come to the preview of the film. So I was like, wow, if something had happened, I don't know what the government would have done. So you can see that he has been a very strong supporter and down-to-earth leader for the European Union. Also, I want to thank him that European Union and Uganda has a very good bilateral working relationship, which is anchored on mutual respect. because there are many times that countries will come and tell you what to do, how they want you to do it. But this initiative has shown you that to him, it is not about imposing the solution. It is about engaging and giving opportunities to Uganda to determine what works, how it should work, involvement, engagement. So really, I want to thank you that under your leadership, we have even closed the balance of trade, where now trade between Uganda and the EU has increased and has balanced. We have worked together with him supporting civil society, especially most of the civil society works in the sector where I am a minister, the vulnerable communities like the youth, the women, the persons with disability. They have been very instrumental in peace and stability in the Great Lakes region, but also the issue of refugees. So really, I want to thank you for the leadership based on mutual respect, engagement, and continue to build our relationship. And tailoring this is why we are here today, that Uganda, with the youthful population, you've designed this program that now is benefiting this group of people that are here. I want to state that the vision and mission of the government of Uganda is focused on some key pillars that also addresses youth issues. For instance, His Excellency the President has always said our focus should be the mass line. What is a mass line? The mass line should say if youth are 14 million, then the 14 million youth, majority of them are in this sector. How do we address the mass line? Opportunities for the youth. First, in education and skilling. That's why education becomes critical, skills become critical. Issues around affordable capital for you to harness some of the ideas you've got here will require financing. So we look at affordable capital for the youth. That's why you have PDM, you have Emioga, and you have all those other issues that are supporting youth. We look at the issue around supporting you in factors of production. You know, originally in our time, when you talk about factors of production, people would say land, labor, capital. Now, beyond land, labor, capital, there is the issue of knowledge and skills. Because you, the youth of today, you are not going to dig after Makerere University, or I'm hearing some people are going over to US. What? Do you think you're going back to dig? How many will go back for agriculture? By show of hands. You see? So, the other factor of production now becomes knowledge and skills. And this opportunity is giving you, that EU is giving you, is for you to gain knowledge and skills. I don't think if you now want to compete with other youth out there, for you who now have been facilitated, you have been handling issues of climate change, you've been skilled on communication, on debate, on all this, I don't think you will stand with other people globally, the youth globally, and fail to articulate, give your knowledge and your skills and sell it for income. So skills and development, and really you should know that what you've gained here is a factor of production for you. Because for employment now, many of you will put in your CV that I was in youth what? Youth sounding board, we did this, I did this. It will be in your CV, not so. So knowledge and skills is very important. Entrepreneurship skills. Entrepreneurship is also now a fact of production. You talked about jobs here, but jobs now also require now entrepreneurship, innovation. That's what now government is driving. How do we support youth to innovate and create their own jobs? Not to think about jobs, because public service job is about 500,000. What is on the market every year for public service cannot even reach 100,000 jobs. Then you bring the private sector players. So we now want you, people like you, who have been given this opportunity, and you have organization, maybe some of you don't have, but some of you have. How can you now use that to create opportunities for yourself and for others? We are also looking at private-led economy. So you are now the private people who should lead the economy. And I would want us to monitor, head of delegation, to see how many are going to use their knowledge to now create jobs for themselves and for others, to create private innovation to solve the challenges of the world. So the sounding board has offered you opportunities to show your talents, your innovation, your expertise. But the issue now, for me, the question is, how will you harness these opportunities? As many of you thought about what you're going to do with the knowledge you've got here? How many? I've seen 1, 2, 3. EU, only less than a half has figured out how they are going to use these opportunities. You see, you are living, as youth, you are living in a global world now, where a significant portion of the world is composed of the youth. So if you have knowledge about youth, their interests, their needs, why don't you create a product for the global youth? And I want you, this opportunity has exposed you beyond the local dynamics. You now must look at the needs of the youth globally. Don't narrow yourself now. You go back to a Germany and now you want to think like I'm still in a Germany. Now think beyond. What can I create for Uganda, for East Africa, for Africa? This opportunity should not go to waste. The world is now technology, and most of you, the youth, you are just ingrained in the internet, social media, all those. Turn those social media, turn those internet into opportunities. Do you know how many youth are earning money in millions of dollars per year on internet? How are you going to harness? How will you use internet to put some of the solutions you've got to make money? These days I see in the budget of government, when we are doing a budget, everybody is putting social media influencers in the budget of government. How many of you can term themselves social media? In this campaign, I have seen people making money creating social media to market candidates. Can you imagine? And they are earning money. There is a person in parliament. He has his platform called live stream, about 4 different platforms, but each member of parliament pays that man 50,000 per month for him to share anything that they are doing in their constituency. You just do what you're doing in the constituency. You take your pictures, you write a snap, and you send to him, and he spreads it. Imagine 500 members of parliament at 50,000 every month. How much is that man earning? You see? So you are seated on gold. You must now look at the world the youth are in. It's now shaped by technology. So you must also think now according to how the world is. Your world, not my world. Your world now is technology. your world now is about climate change. What solution can you design to deal with climate change out of this initiative? So for me, really, you can talk about all the speeches that you can talk of: involvement of youth, youth unemployment, how does government work. But to me, this has given you opportunity. Now you have networks, now you have opportunities, you have friends that you've got. How will you harness them so that this initiative by the EU will not go to waste, that we have boarded off the cohorts and the cohorts go and that is the end of it? I want to see tangible results, because by you being here, it means you are an innovator. It means you are a resilient, determined person. You can create solution for the other youth in Uganda. So EU head of delegation, I want us to ensure that we follow up these people, support them. If possible, if you are already having programs and projects, you are supported, or recommendation to other delegations, donors, to support your work so that you don't go back where you were. For me, that is what I want us to go back with. And with that, really, I want to congratulate you and thank the head of delegation for his leadership, his work with us to ensure that you continue to thrive, and then congratulate you for your determination and resilience, and say, let this shape your determination to change the course of history, to change the course of the world, and use the connections and the networks that you've got from here to do greater things for Uganda, for East Africa. I'm glad already there are people here who have served as speakers of East African, deputy speakers of East African youth, so that we continue to work together for a better Uganda, but for a good future for the youth of Uganda. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, before you leave, we have the next item on our agenda, handing out certificates. I'd like to invite Ambassador Shadek to join you here. And we'll begin handing out certificates. We'll be passing on to the Youth Sounding Board. Certificates, please.
engagement and your activity. And congratulations.
Thank you very much, Minister. And looking at the Master of Ceremonies, I think this ends the program. And I want to thank again the Minister for taking her time, joining us here for launching our new board, and hopefully staying with us a few minutes for the lunch that will now be served. So I invite the Minister, all other guests to join us for lunch here to celebrate together the new Youth Sounding Board Season 2. Thanks a lot.
all began with a bold vision to ensure that the EU development cooperation is more participatory, relevant, and effective for young people in Uganda. Following a competitive selection process, 20 outstanding young leaders were selected from a pool of 170 to the first EU Youth Sounding Board, Uganda.
Well, it's quite an exploratory experience, and for me it has been more of networking, more of really learning the diplomacy and how to connect the young people with the EU.
It has contributed largely to my understanding of how youth work, most especially because of the fact that youth are some of the most underestimated people. Working with the members of the Youth Sounding Board has showed me what capacity we wield as a people and the importance of unity and cohesion in as far as reaching where we want to go as a youth.
From day one, they hit the ground with intensive trainings on key themes like digital skills, advocacy, communications, and fundraising. These were not just workshops, they were launchpads that sharpened their voices and refined their strategies to create change. From governance and education to healthcare and climate justice, the Youth Sounding Board has been a catalyst for youth inclusion in national, regional, and global policy spaces.
My experience as a YSB member has been a very learning experience, getting to meet and interact from different groups of people from diverse backgrounds, but also benefiting from a pool of knowledge from whatever initiatives they are working on. And we've gotten to amplify as a group for the youth.
Notably, Dr. Jemba Michael and Ismail Munyamu, whose contributions as medical doctors not only transform Uganda's health system at Jinja Regional Referral Hospital and China-Uganda Friendship Hospital, but have also elevated youth voices on global stages like Global Gateway High-Level Youth Events. Amanya Belinda, who served as the Speaker of the East African Youth Parliament, providing bold leadership on regional integration.
During my tenure on the Youth Sounding Board, I've had the opportunity to serve in various capacities. For example, being the Speaker of the 6th East African Youth Parliament, which has been a key and focal point that has exposed me to leadership not only in Uganda, but also at an East African level, from being able to interact and initiate conversations from basic primary students, secondary schools, but to youth in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and all over East Africa.
And Dina Achola championed economic cooperation by presenting a motion to reduce trade barriers for a unified East African market.
My experience has been an interesting journey, and one of the most outstanding things was the quality of the young individuals I met on the board and the different initiatives that they are running. But what specifically stood out was their resilience and commitment to ensuring that the European Union agenda in Uganda is aligned with the national development plans, and the initiatives that young people are pushing is also aligned with the development agenda, so that every participant and every party is on the same level.
The sidelines of COP28, Naiga Doreen, Walter Osigai, and Fiona Bonabana elevated youth voices in global climate dialogues, advocating for climate resilience.
I was able to engage with issues related to climate change, environment, and energy, specifically with some of the people that work with the EU. But also I was able to convene young people together in a local conference of youth across Uganda to discuss the specific challenges that Uganda faces when it comes to climate change, but also bring forward the different problems or challenges they are facing from across the regions, different regions of Uganda. And that really helped us to work with the government of Uganda, but specifically the Ministry of Water and Environment under the Climate Change Department, in really building the capacity of these young people when it comes to climate change issues, negotiations, and other issues related to climate action.
Dratea Sin, Patience Poni Aikoru, and Howard Muwezi, who continue to lead transformative change in youth governance and gender equality across the grassroots in West Nile and the Western region. The EU Youth Sounding Board Uganda is more than a board. It's a movement championing youth-led development, shaping policy and forging inclusive futures of the EU in Uganda.